In Readings and Ethics this year, we all read a book called Being Wrong. Because you seniors all read the book, right? Anyway, one of the ideas presented in this book is the 'cause it's true constraint. The idea is that we don't really base all our ideas on logic or empirical proof. Sometimes we believe something because we just tell ourselves that we know it's true. At Commonwealth, I found this principle challenged at every turn. In geometry, for example, we were supposed to write out these stupid things called rigorous proofs. What was up with that? I knew that these two lines had to be parallel because they were right next to each other on the page. Why did I have to prove it? English 9 proceeded to frustrate me in the same way. I could write essay after essay talking about how Romeo was a stuck-up, whiny brat. In the English classes that I was used to, I could get away with this as long as I threw in some long words and a few profound statements about the beauty of iambic pentameter. I found it shocking that Miss Brewster then asked me why I thought that. What in the text actually produced that effect? What had led me to this conclusion? These questions were completely alien to me. What did she mean, why? It was true because I said it was so and wrote it down, right? But eventually I came to understand why asking these sorts of questions mattered. Once I could construct a step-by-step logical proof, I could admire how changing one simple axiom could change so much and enter the fascinating, if mind-boggling world of hyperbolic geometry. I finally figured out that the reason I hated Romeo so much was because of his bloated and pretentious diction, which sounds a little more convincing in an essay than because he's annoying. Once you take things apart, you can put them back together with a more thorough understanding than 'cause it's true. It reminds me of a quote from Terry Pratchett, one of my favorite authors who I miss very much. In one book, a young witch in training asks for advice, and an older witch tells her to open your eyes and then open your eyes again. We're not necessarily witches, but that's what Commonwealth teaches you. How to think critically, how to question everything, to pay attention to what's going on underneath. To open your eyes again. Of course, the harder part after you've taken everything apart can be putting the pieces back together. Sometimes it can be physically difficult. After dissecting a salamander in anatomy and physiology, the organs didn't quite fit back in the right place, particularly once I'd strung the small intestine around its neck like a scarf. And sometimes it's hard on an intellectual level. In organic chemistry, for example, I learned that designing a method to synthesize a particular molecule is far more difficult than simply understanding the reactions at your fingertips. But I also learned that it's okay for things to be challenging. See, in middle school, I'd always thought that you weren't supposed to do things that you weren't already good at. I would happily enter in math competitions and knit scarves for my friends, or even run on the cross-country team. I wasn't necessarily good at these things per se, but I was at least better than a bunch of other people, and that's what I thought was important. When I entered Commonwealth, I was excited to spend a whole 4 years doing things that I already knew how to do. That attitude lasted me about 2, maybe 3 days, at which point 2 things happened. I was shocked to realize that I didn't already know everything, which was weird, and I was pushed to the strange and rather uncomfortable realization that this was okay. In fact, it was more than okay, it was great. It was so much more fun. I could learn a sport where you get to stab people with swords. I could study revolutions in Europe. I could cut apart the pages of old books to make art. I could even sample exciting kinds of cheese in Cheese Club. Some of these new things stuck, some didn't. I have come to admit to myself that I really don't like cheese. Not even really nice cheese. And I had generally considered my adventures in acting freshman year to be a bit of a mistake. Still, I guess I learned something from it. On stage, with bright lights shining on my face, I realized that I preferred to be on the other side of those lights, so found my home at the tech table. And of course, Danny and Rachel dragged me back on stage again this spring, so maybe I have caught the theater bug. Sometimes the stuff isn't all that fun, though. Sometimes you get back a math test and see the mistakes that you made and your heart plummets. And in that moment, you couldn't care less about the joys of learning and trying new things because you had just tried something new and apparently you were terrible at it, so you should never do it again. But I'm telling you, and I hope that those of us walking across the stage today serve as living proof, You will survive, and you will graduate. Because you can take those same skills that Commonwealth has given you, the ability to dissect problems and then put the pieces back together for a new understanding, and learn how to find something useful and important in your mistakes, whether it's on your own or with a friend. Because that's the other huge thing that I've been grateful for here. I like to think that good friends are not a rarity and that they are something I will be able to find outside of Commonwealth, I hope. But I'm particularly fond of you guys right now. You, my classmates, my teachers, my friends, create a space where I could do these new scary things without being afraid and without being judged. Sometimes I look back at myself freshman year and cringe a little bit. No offense to the current freshmen, you're wonderful people, but I was terrible as a freshman. And I can think of no other place that would have so patiently watched me, and honestly watched all of us change. We switched personalities about 7 times a year, got caught up in obsessions ranging from webcomics to swing dancing to that game with the pigeons, made several questionable hair choices, and stuffed our schedules full of electives on the widest range of subjects we could find. And for some reason, Commonwealth let us get away with all of this. Somehow, we tolerated each other, we accepted each other, and we even encouraged each other. So when I'm saying that I'm glad that this place is somewhere you can make mistakes and try new things, I'm not just talking about classes. This is a place where we learn how to be new people. I will remember Commonwealth as a place of change. It's true that some people see it as the opposite. Some people see it as a sheltered bubble where you see the same faces day after day and take the same classes day after day, and you never have to grow up and face the real world. But I hope by the end of your 4 years here, or 3 years, or 1, hi Max, you will have grown and you will have changed. Those are 2 different things. By grown, I mean that I hope you found the parts of yourself of who you were when you started here that you want to keep, whether it's a passion for math or a passion for Civ 5, and looked at them and really figured out why you want to keep them, opened your eyes again, and looked at what is going on underneath, and polished them and made them yours. By changed, I basically mean that I hope you've done something completely new. Maybe something crazy. Hopefully not something actually dangerous, but crazy can be okay. I think that about now, I'm supposed to say that I'm going to miss you all so much and that I wish I didn't have to leave, that I wish I never had to leave Commonwealth. But I think that's kind of stupid. Maybe I just completely misunderstood what Commonwealth was trying to teach us over the years, but I don't think that we're supposed to repeat the same old 4-year cycle, not after working so hard to change and grow. No, it's time for something new. It's time for us to take these things that we have learned about and puzzled through and figured out over the years to some other place, whether it be college or something else. Of course, it helps that we have been physically kicked out of the building. Maybe Mr. Warden is trying to tell us something. You've had your time, now get out. Thank you.